Welcome along to Paper Talk. There is only one story in town this morning to debate. That is Cristiano Ronaldo's explosive interview as he hits out at Manchester United. And joining us to discuss that today, we've got Jamie Jackson from The Guardian and sports broadcaster and big Manchester United fan in Flex. OK, good morning to both of you gentlemen. Cristiano Ronaldo says that he feels betrayed by Manchester United. There's so much to talk to on this one. But Jamie, first of all, what do you make of this?
Make of this is I'm not completely sure what he's doing. Apart from anything else, he's a paid employee. He's on around £500,000 a week. He says he feels betrayed. He says that he feels that he's trying to be forced out. Well, if we just rewind to the summer, people will recall, I'm sure, I know I certainly do, reported on it, that he let it be known that he wanted to leave Manchester United. And I can't help but think that the reason why he's done this is because he's not in the team. And that is obviously the manager's prerogative. And it's not his fault, this, obviously, but he's not the player he was. You know, so you look at him when he has started. He started the last sort of 3 or 4 games before the one yesterday. And he just hasn't looked at it. And just to add as well, Erik ten Hag made him captain. I think it was the Villa game, after he'd walked out a second time, which was the Spurs game. He'd previously done it Rayo Vallecano, the end of July, the friendly at Old Trafford. I was at that game as well as the Spurs one. So I don't know who's advising him. Maybe it's himself, but he just comes across, I have to say, as entitled. And, you know, this is Manchester United. This is a magnificent football club who, as I say, go back to the start of what I've just said, he's a paid employee.
Has this shocked you as much as it seems to have shocked everybody else?
I would like to say it has shocked me, but actually, to be honest, I think this is what it's always been about, and that's Cristiano Ronaldo being about Cristiano Ronaldo. I agree with what Jamie says there in terms of, you know, he's employed by the club. And to say that he feels betrayed by a manager who I think is absolutely stuck by him. OK, he doesn't see him as the right man to lead his front line. And Cristiano Ronaldo was coming from an awfully high level of his career, and he's struggled to understand that he's not the main man anymore. And the way he's dealt with that is completely wrong, in my opinion. Look, I think what Cristiano Ronaldo has done as well is highlight a lot of things that Manchester United fans have been talking about for years, whether it's the ownership, the infrastructure at the football club, the lack of resources, you know, saying things haven't been updated since he was there under Sir Alex Ferguson. These aren't things that are new to Manchester United fans. And actually, I think that side, you can understand what he's saying. But at the end of the day, to say he doesn't feel backed by the club when he's taken over £500,000-600,000 a week from the football club, to say he doesn't feel backed by the club when, you know, when he scored over 700 goals, that he took a picture with the whole team with golden balloons. He's been celebrated and lauded at every moment. And I think to throw Erik ten Hag under the bus when this is a manager who is trying to instill a new fabric at the football club, a new culture, he's trying to undo the very things that Ronaldo's talking about. Ronaldo knew Manchester United was a broken institution when he walked back into it before he was going to sign for Manchester City. He knew that. And I think he's trying to act as almost like he's surprised by this. Every fan knew this. Every fan knows that there's issues around the ownership. We've been protesting about that from even when we was winning from 2005. We've been talking about that. Everybody knows that, you know, we've been talking about investing into the football club and the infrastructure's not right and we need to change that. Absolutely. But I think what Ronaldo's trying to do here is convolute the two to kind of drown out the fact that, to basically talk about his own actions and try and pacify his own actions and make them okay. And it's not all right. And taking a jibe at Wayne Rooney, who's the only Manchester United legend, in my opinion, who's actually called out his behaviour, as well as Gary Neville did as well, and then he wouldn't shake Gary Neville's hand after that, I think is very, very telling. To go in on a player like Wayne Rooney, who just called out the standards of what he was doing is not good enough for the team, talk about his appearance, and basically Rooney's going to be jealous of him, who's our record goal scorer, by the way, and England, I think is a disgrace. So there's more to come from this. There's more context that's going to come from this, and we have to understand that. Things about his family and what he's been through, even in the summer, when he said family reasons, I think we had to respect that, and I still stand by that. But clearly going to Piers Morgan, of all people, at this present time, he knows what he's doing, in my opinion.
Jamie, it does seem like the fans are very much taking the manager's side here and the club's side here. Has he kind of ruined his legacy here, Ronaldo, whatever happens between now and the end of January?
Well, it's a very good question. I mean, I'm personally not a Manchester United fan, but my son is. I've got an 11-year-old son, and you know, when he becomes aware of this, I think he's going to be disappointed. And that's what's such a shame about this, because I think Flex makes a very interesting point. If Ronaldo had said the things about the club, about the infrastructure, about the training ground, if he said this sort of, if, after he scored a hat trick or the team is in a winning run, sort of when the team is actually doing well, I think it wouldn't sound basically as hollow as it does now. You know, so yeah, I think he has ruined his legacy. If you're a fan, as I say, I'm not, but if you're a fan, how can you possibly support a player who's basically going against a manager who is, he's a decent, intelligent, honourable person himself, but he's also a very good manager. And he's having to deal with Cristiano Ronaldo the best way he can. I mean, as I say, he made him captain after, he'd previously walked out of the Spurs game. So then to say that, he doesn't respect him, I mean, that's very strong. And I'm just a little bit staggered at the sort of level of misjudgment here from Ronaldo. And it's a shame, but at the same time, he's an adult. He's a 37-year-old man. And as Flex says, he knows what he's doing with regard to coming out now, but at the same time, I don't think he quite knows what he's doing with regard to his legacy. I think he's, his sort of lack of foresight here is, it's going to come back to haunt him. It is already, because I think people are stupefied that he's basically come out and said this about particularly Erik Ten Hag.
He mentioned something that we already knew, that Manchester City were in for him, but Sir Alex Ferguson said, don't do that, come back to Manchester United. And I think Ronaldo said something like, I said, OK, boss. Sir Alex Ferguson, it's not his job anymore to intervene, but could he intervene just to try to smooth things over between player and club and fans?
No, and nor should it. In my opinion, you can't speak for a whole fan base, and I definitely won't ever do that. But in my opinion, I don't think Sir Alex Ferguson should be getting involved to calm this down at all. I think the club need to take... There's no way back for Ronaldo. You said you don't respect the manager, which in turn, it means that you don't also respect the fans. The fans are trying to get behind this manager to move in a new direction. This is a player that, okay, there was things going on in the summer, but he wasn't at pre-season training. That's fine. It was family reasons, but comes back and doesn't cover himself in glory with loads of reports that he wants to leave. Fair enough. I think in this interview, there's going to be even more to basically say, I wanted to leave and they didn't let me leave. We'll have to wait and see. This is a player that, against Rayo Vallecano, I was sitting right next to the players who didn't play in the press box, next to the players in the players box, and they all left, and it looked very meticulous that they left. And Ronaldo was the only player who was playing to do that. And I think Erik Ten Hag took a great step and made it about the whole team instead of just Ronaldo. So in my view, he protected him. Fast forward a few months of Ronaldo not being in the team, we then play against Spurs and have our best team performance of the season, and he proceeds to walk off down the tunnel and drive home. I don't care what was said before the game, how many minutes you thought he was going to play. You don't do that. And he's got a problem with the likes of Wayne Rooney. Doesn't know why Wayne Rooney criticised him. He criticised you, Cristiano, because you don't do that. Gary Neville criticised you because you don't do that. And if Alex Ferguson was to come in now and try and calm the situation down, I think it would be even more toxic than it was before, because I think what Cristiano Ronaldo is proving, in my opinion, is that actually he's putting himself paramount. And look, you may argue that that's why he's been the player that he's been for his whole entire career, because he's always put himself first. He's made fantastic memories at Manchester United, which I don't think can be undone. He's a Real Madrid legend. He's achieved everything in the game, maybe because he has this attitude. But I don't think that preservation of his legacy at Manchester United is at the forefront of Cristiano Ronaldo's thinking. What's at the forefront of Cristiano Ronaldo's thinking is Cristiano Ronaldo. So I don't want to see the likes of Sir Alex, who's been through a lot, let's not forget, in the last few years, health-wise and things like that, stepping into this mess, to this disrespect, the other way around from Cristiano to Ronaldo to Manchester United, and trying to sort this out. I think that'll be the worst thing possible. I think they need to find an exit strategy for him. They need to terminate his contract. He's on an awful lot of money. I don't know how much it's going to cost to cancel that contract. But I think leaving him there and saying you're not going to get your own way and paying Ronaldo to stay at the club, that's just bad business for everybody. I think it's time. And I think Ronaldo is even coming to the forefront with this because he knows it's over and he doesn't care. He wants out, in my opinion.
Jamie, I know, and I've not heard this particular bit from the interview, but in The Sun, it's got quotes here saying on Ralph Rangnick, "I had never heard of him. How are you going to be boss of Manchester United when you're not a coach?" I find it quite hard to believe that a football man like Cristiano Ronaldo, a knowledgeable football man, would not have heard of Ralph Rangnick. But when it comes to comparisons to Roy Keane, his United career was ended after a controversial interview in-house with MUTV. Flex talks there about an exit strategy. It looks like that might be the only option here for Ronaldo, is to leave.
Yeah, I mean, come January, he'll be owed for the rest of the season, rest of his contract, about 12 million. Now, the thinking was he might be offered half, which is obviously 6. But after this, you get to thinking, well, you know, why should United necessarily give him as much as that? Because this is damaging. I mean, it's disrespectful. I can't, if you strip it all back down, I can't get over the fact that he is a paid employee. Let's remember this, yeah? He's on £500,000 a week. And again, this is not his fault, but in the times we are living, where there's cost of living crisis, people don't have to be able to heat their houses, some of them, bless them. The whole thing just feels, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if he's there much longer than January, and it is all very sad, but in the end, the person it's saddest for is him, because there's a lack of class here. And just going back to Ferguson, I'd like to think Sir Alex Ferguson, a genius manager, would actually be thinking, wait a minute, I was a manager. The one thing you don't do is disrespect the incumbent manager of the football team you play for. And if he was to step in, I'm not saying he should, you'd like to think it might be to actually give him, the hairdryer or a flea in the ear and say, Cristiano, what are you doing? This is Manchester United. You came here in 2003. Obviously, you were brilliant for us, but we were brilliant for you. And now, 19 years later, you come out with this sort of stuff. So, yeah, I would guess, an educated guess says he's off sooner rather than later.
Story, and quite understandably distracting us from the start of the World Cup. But Jamie, Flex, thank you for your time this morning.